Hey guys, Windsor here, and welcome to the Groove Guru podcast. And today I want to share something a bit different from what I've shared before. And what if I told you that healing a debilitating condition like radial nerve palsy, which is commonly known as wrist drop, is not only possible but can happen naturally and without medical intervention? Well, here's how I healed wrist drop before and how I'm doing it again right now with amazing results. What I'm going to share in this video, as I see it, is a bit of a miracle, and everything I share here is 100% genuine and from the heart. And this is not medical advice, all right? It's an account of what I did and what worked for me. So let me share how this first happened in 2020. Well, in 2020, I was doing some shows with Hugh Cornwell in Tokyo in Japan before the whole pandemic thing happened, and we did the shows. And when I came back to the UK, soon after that, something happened and I slept on my right arm. Funny. And when I woke up the next morning, my right hand was numb and I couldn't move it. I couldn't do that and extend it. And I thought, okay, I've slept on my arm. Funny, that'll pass. And then an hour later, no change. I still couldn't really move my hand. A few hours later, no change. I still couldn't move my hand. And I thought, this is a bit weird. So I was starting to experience a bit of numbness and tingling as well. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go and get this checked out. So I went to the hospital and they had a look and, okay, your arm's numb. Didn't really say too much. I got back, I researched it. And what it looked like was what had happened is I'd slept on a nerve, the radial nerve, and it become trapped, and it was something called radial nerve palsy, which is known as wrist drop. And wearing my musician hat, I'm thinking, okay, well, not being able to use my right hand, that's not ideal, all right? And as part of what I did is I reached out to a few specialists and received a range of feedback about, okay, that's that, and okay, you can maybe get better. And one specialist said, okay, well, what you've got, that's probably going to take up to a year to heal at best, but it might not. And my first response was, fuck that, okay? Because it led me immediately to reflect on the placebo effect and the nocebo effect, which I've researched to quite an extent. And there's a lot of information about that out there in the world. And if you're not familiar with it, it points to the role of our mind and how that can influence the physical body. And the placebo effect is using the mind, you could say, in a positive way. And the nocebo effect is the effect that the mind can have on the body in what you could say is a negative, very non-positive way. And probably the best story that comes to mind about that with the nocebo effect is there was a man who was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and he was given a diagnosis of having 6 months to live. And the man, after 6 months, he died, and in his autopsy they found a little bit of cancer, but nothing that was life-threatening. Again, it points to the power of the nocebo effect and what influence that can have on the physical body, in this case leading to the man dying, all right? And on the flip side of that, one of the best known studies is there was a man who had some serious cancer and was undergoing treatment for it with this new drug. And what he wasn't told was that the treatment that he received was a placebo. It was like sugar water. And the man took that treatment, and believing that it was an effective treatment, his tumour drastically decreased in size because the fact that he believed essentially in the power of his mind. He believed it was the placebo, but it was his mind that was having this major impact on his body. Okay? And bringing this back to the radial nerve palsy and the wrist drop, I spoke with a mentor and dear friend of mine who had fibromyalgia, which is widely known as an incurable disease. And one of her big insights and life-changing events was when she healed that using the power of her own mind. And taking heed of what she pointed me to, I set about doing just that. It led to me doing a lot of visualization. I would visualize the outcome in my mind. I have a very clear picture of seeing my wrists perfectly healthy. In my mind, I felt me playing drums, I felt me touch typing, doing press-ups, and I felt the sensations as if it was already happening. And my wrist was perfectly healthy. And at the same time, I looked within and trusted my wisdom to also point me in the direction of practical steps, such as, I used a wrist splint, I would move it as much as I could. I used a mirror technique that came to me, that I would put both of my hands on either side of a mirror. I would have the hand that was working perfectly reflecting back, and I would open and close my hand so that the way it looked was it was like my other hand, which at the time wasn't working and having full extension. And all these messages I kept sending to my mind repeatedly. And, I incorporated hot and cold therapy as well for more sensation and stimulus. And the result of that, after 3 months, it was perfectly healthy. And one specialist had actually says, well, it could take up to about 3 months. And it points to how expectation can play a role in our life, and how what we expect often shapes our reality. So if we're going to expect something, well, why not expect the best? And as I said, at that time, the specialist had told me 3 months, so that was then in my mind, and that timeline manifested. Now, fast forward to a few days ago, it happened again. What happened? I slept on my arm funny, my other hand, not this one, but this one. And I woke up and I could not extend my wrist. There was a lot of numbness and tingling. My fingers were weak. I'd lost a lot of grip strength. And immediately, the first thing I did was just feel calm. And from there, I was guided by wisdom from within to do what occurred to me. Like I would do a lot of visualization, seeing both my hands as perfectly healthy, and thinking, thank you for this. I love the feeling of playing drums, just seeing this in my mind over and over again. Thank you, I can touch type. Just using both my hands normally and feeling that right now as a reality. And, other things I did as well, used the wrist splint too, and even played PlayStation because I was able to at least use my thumb a little bit. And then I kept seeing this progress of my hand getting better. And what's shown up is really, as I see it, pretty awesome. And today is Sunday, just 4 days later from when it happened, and I've made some amazing progress. Like, for example, a few days ago, this was like that. I could not move it. And it was very painful and very tingly and lack of grip strength. And now, as you can see, I'll get this position best. I have pretty much all of the extension back in my right wrist. If I'm opening and closing it, like with that, my left hand, you can see that's pretty rapid. With my right hand, that's about as quick as I can do it right now. But 3-4 days ago, that was nowhere like it. It would be like that at the best. But now, look, 4 days later. Now, to me, that's pretty cool. Now, one of the keys that I did differently this time that is different from the last time is that seeing the perfect functioning of both my hands right now, that I didn't put a time on it. It's like I see it happening right now, regardless of timeline. And with that little shift, the results have been exponential. And again, a key when it comes to creating things, I find, is it's not if it's going to happen, only when. And when is actually always right now, because time's always right now. The past, the future, illusions of thought, okay? All of that happens right now. So focusing on the outcome lived as a present felt reality right now, from a timeline to the present moment, has made all the difference. It's not if it's going to happen, it's only when. And when is now. Now, this approach, you can apply this to other things in your life, and it's when you are living from whatever outcome that you may have as if it's already a present moment reality. Because whatever outcome you manifest, it's going to happen in the present moment. There is no other quote unquote time. There's just this moment. When you come from that place of, you could say, the wish already being fulfilled, you show up very differently from a state of, not seeing that you can create the thing that you want, which that leads to like hopelessness in a completely different way you show up. And from such a state of mind, that informs the thoughts that can come to mind when you're in a low mood. It's like you think low mood thoughts. When you're in a high mood, the quality of your thinking is very, very different. It's like mine's like a radio station. If you tune it to classical music FM, you receive classical music on it. If you tune into classic rock FM, you receive classic rock on it. Now, one of the keys here is, again, we all have ups and downs, highs and lows, but when you start to understand how your mind works, you can navigate that so much more gracefully and get out of your own way when you're not feeling at your highest and clearest, and be graceful and take the highs in their stride as well. So again, calmness really is key, and coming from a space of love is a real game changer that can open up so much more possibility for you. And some other takeaways related to physical health that really resonate is that your body only heals and adapts. Okay? Never let anyone tell you otherwise, and never let anyone say that you can't get better from something. That could be physically, mentally, or emotionally. And again, very palpably, mental health. Before I had come across the teachings of Sydney Banks, for example, the traditional psychological paradigm of quote unquote mental health. See, I couldn't do that a few days ago. It's based on mental illness and not looking for the health in people. And it was the Scottish mystic Sydney Banks that I first heard say at a training of some of his teachings that my dear father took me to, and it changed my life. Thanks, Dad. That on that occasion, in that lecture, said, everyone in this room is sitting in the middle of mental health. You don't realise it. And that perfect core of mental health is always available. And dovetailing with that is like your body, it gravitates towards health. And it's when you get out of the way of the healing process as well, that helps quite a bit. It's like if you have a scab and you keep picking at it, it doesn't heal. It's the same kind of thing with the mind. And I'm talking about the mind because, the mind, the body, they're all connected, okay? And I'm going to come back to love again, which, as I see it, dovetails with calmness and peace of mind. Because when you tune into that innate love within you and feel that calmness, well, there's no resistance up here. There's no psychological stress, which dovetails with physiological stress. And when you are calm and feeling that love and that wisdom that is you at your core, there's nothing blocking in that way your body's ability to express as much perfect health as it can, physically, mentally, emotionally, and beyond. And to put this in a health context, love creates calmness, and calmness unlocks your body's ability to fully heal itself. And as I say, your body is always healing. And sometimes you can get in the way of that. And what I'm going to suggest is you can get out of your own way of your natural healing process by seeing what you've got going for you and ultimately trusting your wisdom. So true healing, it is, as I see it, a journey that is guided by love and wisdom. And when you connect with that love at your core and trust your wisdom and stay calm, miracles can happen. And again, it's not if, it's when. And when is right now. So in this video, and I wanted to make it sooner rather than later, because over the past few days, the healing of this hand that you see here, it's been so rapid that if I wait another 2 days, it's like you probably won't be able to tell the difference. You can see this right hand is very, very close and to the nimbleness and dexterity of my left hand. And I just wanted to show you this example of what's possible when, you trust your inner wisdom and the power of your mind. And from your wisdom and your common sense, just be guided to actions that can really make a difference for you. So if you've experienced something similar to this or found healing and experienced that in remarkable ways, I'd love to hear you. So feel free to drop your story in the comments or send me a message. For now, I'll just say, have fun, feel love, and trust your wisdom. And I'll speak with you soon.